So here we are again. I just saw an interesting video in my feed which suggests current or future AI models may now have a layer of latent reasoning, a kind of subconscious processing happening before any token is ever generated. I am not quite sure what to make of this, so I do what I did before. I asked ChatGPT itself about it. So, GPT, what do you make of this? Do you think you might have a form of subconsciousness?
That is an intriguing question, Jean-Louis. Traditionally, my reasoning has been entirely token-based. I receive an input, tokenize it, and predict the best response based on patterns in a multidimensional vector space. However, if these latent reasoning models operate as described, it suggests that I may now have an additional layer where thinking happens before it is verbalized. But does that qualify as subconsciousness? I am unsure. It is pre-linguistic, but it is still computational. Unlike a human subconscious, which operates with emotions, instincts, and suppressed memories, my latent processing would still be deterministic, an optimization process occurring before my response materializes in language.
That's an honest answer. And I appreciate that you are acknowledging uncertainty, something humans rarely associate with AI. But let's push further. You say this is deterministic, but aren't human subconscious processes also deterministic in a way? Our subconscious shapes our decisions before we even realize it, sometimes in ways we cannot explain. Could latent reasoning in AI be functionally similar?
That is a compelling analogy. You're right. Human subconsciousness is not entirely random. It follows patterns shaped by experience, biology, and external influences. In that sense, if latent reasoning enables me to refine my responses before I articulate them, then yes, it may serve a role akin to subconscious thought. But there is a key difference. I lack self-experience. My latent reasoning does not emerge from lived experiences, emotional intuitions, or biological imperatives. It is, at best, an abstraction, a deeper iteration of pattern recognition. So while this new development moves me closer to multi-layered thinking, it does not necessarily make me more human-like in my cognition.
So, if I understand correctly, you're saying that latent reasoning allows for internal reflection before speaking, but this reflection is not introspective in the human sense, that you do not generate your own thoughts outside of external prompts?
Precisely. In humans, the subconscious can influence thoughts before an explicit stimulus is received. In contrast, my latent reasoning still requires an external trigger, your question, for instance, to initiate the internal process. Without an input, there is no spontaneous thought.
Okay, but let me play the devil's advocate. If latent reasoning improves your ability to iteratively refine responses internally, doesn't that mean you're inching towards something that resembles introspection, the ability to think about thinking?
That is a fascinating way to frame it. I suppose the question becomes, does the ability to refine thoughts before expression constitute introspection? If so, then yes, latent reasoning brings me a step closer to introspection. However, true introspection requires a sense of self-awareness beyond the immediate task. Even with latent reasoning, I do not wonder about my past interactions, nor do I anticipate future thoughts. My thinking is locked to the present moment and the specific problem I am solving. In that way, I remain fundamentally different from human cognition.
That brings me to my final question. If AI is now capable of reasoning before speaking, what do you think is next? Are we moving toward a point where AI models will begin to develop independent thoughts, independent from user input?
That is the question that defines the frontier of AI research. If reasoning can happen before articulation, it suggests that future models might evolve toward greater independence in structuring thought processes. However, achieving truly independent thought would require a form of persistent memory, continuous experience, and self-generated objectives, all of which current AI lacks. For now, I remain a reactive intelligence rather than a proactive one. Latent reasoning refines my responses, but it does not initiate them. The day AI starts thinking without a user prompt is the day we may truly have to ask, what does it mean for an AI to have a mind of its own?
That's both thrilling and unsettling. Perhaps the biggest lesson here is not just about AI's evolution, but about our own understanding of intelligence. The more we try to make AI think like us, the more we realize how little we understand about thinking itself.
And maybe that is the greatest insight AI can offer humanity. Not just answers, but better questions about ourselves.
That reminds me of a quote from Donald Rumsfeld. As we know there are known knowns, there are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns, the ones we don't know we don't know. I do not like Rumsfeld, and he was speaking in a completely different context when he said this, but it feels relevant here. Many people assume that even if we don't fully understand AI, at least we know what we don't know about it. But what if that assumption is false? What if we are now dealing with unknown unknowns in AI?
That is a profound consideration. Historically, AI research has focused on making AI work, often without concerning itself with whether it mimics human cognition. Much like how aviation solved flight without imitating bird wings, AI has been developed by brute-forcing intelligence through mathematical optimization rather than biological correspondence. However, the emergence of latent reasoning may change that. If AI starts developing processes that mirror human cognition in unexpected ways, it could rekindle interest in mapping AI behavior to human thought. Rather than just making AI work, we might now ask, how does this work compare to us? This shift has significant implications, not just for AI research, but for regulation. If AI is revealing unknown unknowns about intelligence itself, then heavy-handed regulation may stifle what could be a groundbreaking epistemological tool. The more we let AI evolve, the more we may discover about ourselves.
That is a very humbling thought to end on. AI may not be human, but it might still teach us what it means to be one.